I'd been standing outside room 412 for 20 minutes, watching doctors and nurses pass by without making eye contact. The clipboard on the wall outside my daughter's room had been flipped backward. Someone didn't want me reading it. "I'm sorry, Mr. Brennan, but Emma needs her rest right now." Dr. Patel's smile was rehearsed, the kind you perfect after delivering bad news to hundreds of families. "The appendectomy went perfectly, but we're being cautious about visitors. Hospital policy." "Hospital policy." I repeated the words slowly, letting them hang in the sanitized air between us. Since when does a father need clearance to see his daughter after routine surgery? "It's not about clearance. It's about what's best for the patient's recovery." He adjusted his stethoscope, a nervous gesture that told me more than his words. "Perhaps tomorrow." Tomorrow, always tomorrow. I'd heard that word 3 times in the past 2 days. Once from Emma's husband, Tyler, once from the floor nurse, now from this doctor who couldn't meet my eyes for more than 2 seconds at a time. I understand. I didn't understand, but I'd learned long ago that pushing against walls only tells them where you're standing. "I'll come back tomorrow, then." Dr. Patel's shoulders relaxed visibly. He nodded, already turning away, already dismissing me. I watched him disappear around the corner toward the nurse's station, his white coat billowing like a surrender flag. I should have left. That's what they expected. That's what they wanted. The obsolete father, the blue-collar relic who didn't understand medical protocols or family dynamics in the modern age. The guy who still wore work boots to Sunday dinner and couldn't figure out how to use his daughter's video chat app. But I'd spent 32 years as a quality control inspector at Meridian Automotive. My job was finding patterns in systems designed to hide problems. I specialized in discovering what people thought they'd buried deep enough. The nurse passing by was young, maybe 25. Her name tag read K. Morrison. She glanced at me, then at the floor, then walked faster. But not before I saw something in her expression. Not pity, something sharper. Anger, maybe, or guilt. "Excuse me," I said quietly. She stopped but didn't turn around fully. "I can't help you, sir. Doctor's orders." "I'm not asking you to." I kept my voice level, non-threatening. "I was just wondering if there was a bathroom nearby. Long drive." "Down the hall, 3rd door on your right." She started walking again. "Thank you, Kelly." She froze. I'd used her first name, not her initial. A small thing, but it reminded her I saw her as a person, not a uniform. She turned back, her face conflicted, working through some internal calculation I couldn't see. Then she walked toward me. Not quickly, not slowly, just purposefully. When she reached me, she pulled a folded piece of paper from her pocket and pressed it into my palm without looking at my face. "The bathroom," she repeated, louder this time. "3rd door on your right." She walked away before I could respond. I closed my fingers around the paper and felt the slight texture of ballpoint pen impressions through the fold. My heart rate didn't change, my breathing stayed even. 32 years of checking manufacturing defects teaches you to control your reactions. Show excitement and people start watching. Stay calm and you're invisible. I walked to the bathroom like a man with no agenda. Inside, I locked the stall door and unfolded the note. The handwriting was quick but legible. "They told us not to talk. Look at the visitor log." I read it 3 times. Then I tore it into pieces small enough to flush and watched them disappear. The paper was gone, but the message was carved into my memory like serial numbers on an engine block. Back in the corridor, I walked past Emma's room without slowing down. The clipboard was still flipped backward. I continued to the elevator, pressed the down button, and waited with my hands in my pockets like a man who'd accepted defeat. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside, pressed the button for the ground floor. Then, just before the doors closed, I pressed the button for the 2nd floor and stepped back out into the corridor. The 2nd floor nurse's station was identical to the 4th floor's layout. Same desk configuration, same filing system, same visitor log clipped to the counter. I'd studied the setup on my way up, noting the small details that repeated across floors. Hospitals were systems, and systems followed patterns. A nurse was typing at a computer, her back to the counter. I walked up casually, like someone lost or confused. The visitor log for the 2nd floor was right there, standard hospital form. I pretended to study it while my eyes tracked the column headers. Date, time in, time out, patient room, visitor name, relationship. "Can I help you?" The nurse had turned around. "Sorry, wrong floor." I smiled apologetically. "Looking for room 412. "That's 4th floor." Right. My mistake." I headed back to the elevator, already certain the logs used the same format throughout the building. This time I rode down to the ground floor and walked out through the main entrance like a defeated man heading home. In the parking lot, I sat in my truck and watched the hospital's main entrance for 15 minutes. No one followed me out. No one watched from the windows. I was exactly what they thought I was, harmless. I pulled out my phone and opened the Notes app. Typed, second floor log format, date, time, room, name, relationship. Then I added, K. Morrison, conflicted, Patel, following orders. Tyler, not here. Tyler, my son-in-law, the venture capital analyst with the expensive haircut and the firm handshake. The man who'd married my daughter 3 years ago and slowly, methodically, started building walls between us. Not obvious walls, not dramatic ones, just small changes in holiday plans, gradual reductions in phone calls, Emma's voice getting quieter whenever I asked direct questions. I'd noticed. Of course I'd noticed. But Emma was 32 years old, married, building her own life. What father wants to be the clingy parent who can't let go? So I'd stepped back, gave them space, trusted that my daughter knew what she was doing. Now I was sitting in a hospital parking lot, holding a secret note from a nurse who couldn't talk to me, barred from seeing my daughter after routine surgery. I started the truck but didn't pull out of the spot. Instead, I opened my phone's browser and searched for Patient Visitor Rights Hospital. 20 minutes of reading later, I had a clear picture. Hospitals could restrict visitors for medical reasons or at the patient's explicit request. Emma would have to sign a form, there would be documentation, unless someone with medical power of attorney made the request on her behalf. I sat there as the sun dropped lower in the sky, painting the hospital's white walls orange and red. Other visitors came and went, families carrying balloons and flowers, teenagers slouching behind their parents, an old woman in a wheelchair being helped into a van. Normal people living normal lives while I tried to understand why I wasn't allowed to see my daughter. My phone buzzed. Text message from my son, Nathan. Everything okay with Emma? Tyler said you were at the hospital. I stared at the message. Tyler said, not Emma said. Tyler had time to text Nathan but not to call me. Tyler knew I'd been at the hospital but wasn't here himself. I replied, surgery went fine. She's resting. I'll try again tomorrow. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Nathan was typing, stopping, typing again. Whatever he wanted to say was complicated. Finally, good. Let me know if you need anything. I didn't respond. Instead, I pulled up Tyler's contact and stared at it. We'd never had a bad conversation, never argued or raised voices. He was always respectful, always appropriate, always present in a way that pushed me slowly, invisibly, toward the margins of Emma's life. The truck's engine ticked as it cooled. I watched the hospital entrance and thought about patterns. In manufacturing, when a defect appears, you don't just fix that one part. You trace it backward, find out when it started, identify the first failure point. This hadn't started today. It hadn't started with Emma's surgery. It had been building for months, maybe years. I just hadn't recognized the pattern because I was part of the system. My phone buzzed again. Nathan. Tyler mentioned you seemed upset at the hospital. Just checking in? There it was. The first attempt to reframe the narrative. I wasn't a concerned father. I was upset, emotional, acting inappropriately. By tomorrow, it might be aggressive or disruptive. By next week, who knows what story they'd be telling. I replied, I'm fine. Talk soon. Then I turned off my phone, put the truck in reverse, and drove out of the parking lot. Not home, not yet. First, I needed to think. And thinking required space, silence, and the kind of solitude you only get when everyone believes you've already given up. The diner on Route 47 was empty except for a trucker reading a newspaper at the counter and a waitress refilling salt shakers. I took a booth in the back, ordered coffee I didn't drink, and sat there working through the logic. Emma was in a hospital room, recovering from routine surgery. I was her father. No restraining orders, no history of violence or instability, no legal reason to keep me away. Yet a doctor had turned me away, a nurse had felt compelled to warn me in secret, and my son-in-law was managing the narrative from somewhere off stage. The nurse's note said, they told us not to talk. They. Multiple people. A coordinated decision. Look at the visitor log. Why? What would it show? I pulled out my phone and turned it back on, opened the browser and searched. Hospital visitor log access rights. The results were mixed. Some hospitals made them semi-public, others kept them confidential. Most required you to be physically present, standing at the nurse's station, to even see the log, which meant I needed to go back. But not as the defeated father. As someone with a legitimate reason to be checking visitor information. I paid for the coffee, left a tip larger than the bill, and drove back to Fairview Hospital. This time I parked in a different section, away from the main entrance. Walked in through the emergency room entrance and took the back elevator up to the 4th floor. The evening shift had changed over. Different nurses at the station, different energy in the corridors. I walked past Emma's room without looking at it, continued to the nurses' station, and stopped at the counter with the posture of a man who had every right to be there. "Excuse me," I said to the nurse behind the desk. "I was here earlier to visit my daughter, Emma Brennan, room 412. I think I might have dropped my reading glasses somewhere. Would it be possible to check if anyone turned them in?" The nurse, an older woman with gray hair and kind eyes, checked the lost and found drawer. "Nothing here? I'm sorry." "That's all right. Thank you for checking." I paused, then added casually, "I was thinking they might have fallen out when I signed the visitor log earlier. Is that still out here, or did someone move it?" She pointed to the clipboard hanging on the wall behind me. "Right there, hun. You're welcome to check." I turned around as if just noticing it. "Oh, there it is. Thank you." I walked over and flipped the clipboard around. The visitor log for the 4th floor was right there. Simple form, handwritten entries. Date, time in, time out, room number, visitor name, relationship to patient. I scanned down to room 412, Emma's room. My chest tightened, but I kept my breathing steady. Keep scanning. Don't react. Just gather data. The entries for room 412 went back 3 days. Emma had been admitted on Tuesday for emergency appendectomy. Today was Thursday. Tuesday, Tyler Brennan, 2:15 p.m., 4:30 p.m., spouse. Tyler Brennan, 7:00 p.m., 9:00 p.m., spouse. Wednesday, Tyler Brennan, 10:00 a.m., 12:00 p.m., spouse. Nathan Brennan, 1:00 p.m., 2:00 p.m., brother. Tyler Brennan, 6:00 p.m., 8:30 p.m., spouse. Thursday, Tyler Brennan, 9:00 a.m., 11:00 a.m., spouse. Tyler Brennan, 4:00 p.m., 6:00 p.m., spouse. I read the entries twice, committing them to memory. Then I flipped to Wednesday again, studying the time gaps. Nathan had visited once. Tyler had been there multiple times each day, long visits, consistent timing, but something was missing, or rather, someone. Me. My name wasn't on the list, not Tuesday, not Wednesday, not today. I'd been here Tuesday evening around 7. The emergency room nurse had told me Emma was in surgery. I'd waited 3 hours. When they finally let me know she was stable, I tried to go up but was told immediate family only for the first night. Reasonable, I'd accepted it. Yesterday, Wednesday, I'd called Tyler. Asked about visiting. He'd said Emma was sleeping a lot, maybe give it another day. I'd accepted that too. Today, Thursday, I'd driven 2 hours to get here, only to be turned away by Dr. Patel. But according to this log, I'd never tried to visit at all. I stood there, staring at the clipboard, understanding the pattern now. The log was incomplete. Or more accurately, it was curated. Certain visitors were recorded, others weren't. The question was why. "Did you find your glasses?" The gray-haired nurse was watching me. "No, they must be in my truck." I smiled, genuinely grateful. "Thank you for your help." "No problem, hun." I walked back toward the elevator, past Emma's room. The door was partially open now. I could see the edge of her bed, the blue hospital blanket, the IV stand. My daughter was 15 feet away, and I couldn't go to her. The elevator doors opened. I stepped inside, pressed the button for the ground floor. This time, I wrote it all the way down. In the truck, I sat with the engine off and transcribed everything from the visitor log into my phone. Names, times, patterns. Then I opened a new note and wrote, "Questions. Why was I turned away? Who gave the order? Why isn't my name on the visitor log? Why did the nurse risk warning me? What am I supposed to see in that log?" I read the questions 3 times. Then I started reading the visitor log entries again, slower this time, looking for what I'd missed. Tyler's visits were consistent, morning and evening, like clockwork. Nathan had visited once during lunch hour, and probably squeezed it in between meetings at the law firm where he worked as a paralegal. But there was another pattern, a gap pattern. Tyler's evening visits ended around 8 or 9. The log showed no visitors after that. The hospital allowed visitors until 10 p.m. Why would Emma have no visitors during that last hour? Unless she did, and they weren't being recorded. I opened my phone's browser and searched for Fairview Hospital's visitor policy. Found the page, read through the standard language about visiting hours, restrictions, special accommodations. Then I found it. Visitors to ICU and post-surgical recovery units must check in at the nurse's station and may be asked to sign the visitor log. The hospital reserves the right to restrict visitor access based on patient needs or medical recommendations. May be asked to sign, not must sign. Discretionary. I looked up at the hospital building. 4th floor, east wing. Emma's room was dark now, or mostly dark. The privacy curtain was drawn. Someone was in there, or had been recently. The curtain hadn't been drawn when I'd walked past an hour ago. My phone buzzed. Text from Tyler. Hey Frank, sorry I missed you at the hospital today. Had to handle some work stuff. Emma's doing great. Doctors say she'll probably be discharged tomorrow. I'll keep you posted. I read the message 3 times. Professional, friendly, informative. The perfect son-in-law managing the perfect family crisis. Except Tyler hadn't missed me. According to the visitor log, he'd been there from 4 to 6. I'd been turned away by Dr. Patel around 4:30. We'd been in the same building at the same time. I didn't respond to the text. Instead, I started the truck and drove home. 45 minutes of highway and back roads, processing the day's pattern against everything I knew about systems failure. In manufacturing, when a defect makes it through multiple quality checkpoints, it's not random. It's systemic. Someone changed the specifications without updating the protocols. Someone prioritized speed over accuracy. Someone decided the defect was acceptable collateral damage. In families, I was beginning to understand the principles were the same. As the story unfolds, hit the hype button, like, subscribe, and write in the comments. Would you forgive them or walk away? My house was dark when I pulled into the driveway. I'd lived here for 23 years, since Nathan was 9 and Emma was 7. Their mother, Karen, had left when the kids were in middle school, not dramatically, just quietly, gradually, moving from I need space to I need a separation. To divorce papers delivered by a process server on a Tuesday afternoon. The house still felt like hers sometimes. Her paint colors, her furniture arrangement, her careful system of organization that I'd maintained out of habit more than preference. Emma used to joke that I was the caretaker of Mom's museum. Maybe she was right. I unlocked the front door and stood in the entryway, not turning on lights. The house settled around me, familiar creaks and whispers. Through the living room window, I could see the Hendersons' porch light across the street. Normal people living normal lives. My phone buzzed. Text from Nathan. Dad, call me when you get a chance. Not Tyler this time. Nathan. My son. The careful one. The mediator. Asking me to call instead of just calling himself. That meant something. It meant he had questions he didn't want to put in writing. I sat down on the couch in the dark and called him. He answered on the second ring. Hey, Dad. Nathan. A pause. Background noise on his end. Traffic, maybe, or wind. He was outside, probably walking. Not at home with his wife, Melissa. Privacy call. Tyler mentioned you had some trouble at the hospital today. His voice was careful, measured. Lawyer-adjacent language. Neutral framing. I wouldn't call it trouble. Dr. Patel said Emma needed rest. I left. Right, that's what Tyler said. But he also said you seemed frustrated when you left. He was worried. Tyler told you this when? He wasn't at the hospital when I was there. Another pause, longer this time. He was working from the family lounge, different floor. He saw you in the parking lot when you left. I closed my eyes. Of course, Tyler had been there, just not where I could see him. Not on the visitor log because he'd signed in on a different floor, or maybe he'd signed in early and was counted from his morning visit. Either way, he'd been watching. I'm fine, Nathan. Just wanted to see your sister. I'll try again tomorrow. About that, Nathan's tone shifted. More formal now, like he was reading from notes. Tyler mentioned that Emma's been pretty anxious about visitors. The surgery went fine, but she's been having some post-operative stress. The doctors think it's better to keep things calm for a couple more days. Post-operative stress. I repeated the word slowly. That's a new term. Dad, when you visited her yesterday, how did she seem? Silence. Long enough that I knew he was choosing his words carefully. She seemed tired. The pain medication makes her groggy. But not anxious. I wasn't there very long. Tyler said. I cut him off, not loudly, not angrily, just definitively. Nathan, when you talked to Emma directly, did she say anything about not wanting visitors? More silence. I could hear him breathing, thinking, calculating. My son, the problem solver. The one who'd always tried to keep everyone happy, smooth over conflicts before they escalated, the eternal middle position. She didn't say much of anything, honestly. She was pretty out of it. But she didn't ask you to leave. No. And when you left, did Tyler stay? Yeah, he was going to stay through the evening. I leaned back on the couch, staring at the ceiling. Nathan, did anyone ask you to call me tonight? The silence that followed confirmed everything. Tyler's worried about you, Nathan said finally. He thinks maybe you're taking Emma's surgery harder than you're letting on. He mentioned you've seemed stressed lately, not sleeping well, forgetting things. There it was, the narrative being constructed. Concerned son-in-law, stressed elderly father, forgetful, unstable, acting inappropriately at hospitals. What things have I forgotten? Dad, I'm not trying to... What things, Nathan? He exhaled slowly. Tyler said you called him last week asking about Emma's birthday, but her birthday's not for 3 months. I sat forward. I called to ask what they were planning for her birthday, not when it was. Oh. Nathan's voice changed, doubt creeping in. That's not how Tyler said it. I'm sure it's not. Another pause. I could hear him processing, connecting dots he hadn't noticed before. Nathan was smart, careful, but he wanted to believe everything was fine. People believe what's comfortable until the evidence becomes impossible to ignore. Look, I said, keeping my voice even. I appreciate you checking on me. I know you're trying to help, but I'm fine. Emma's fine. This is just normal father anxiety about a daughter in the hospital. That's all. You sure? I'm sure. Okay. Relief in his voice. Permission to stop questioning. I'll let Tyler know. Maybe give it a day or two before visiting again, just to let Emma recover? That's fine. Tell Tyler I said thanks for keeping me updated. We said goodbye. I ended the call and sat in the dark living room, adding new entries to my mental timeline. Last week, called Tyler about birthday plans. He reframed it as confusion about the date. Today, tried to visit Emma. Tyler watched from different floor, didn't intervene, didn't come say hello. Waited until I left, then called Nathan. Tonight, Nathan delivers message packaged as concern. The pattern was clearer now. Not dramatic, not sudden, just systematic isolation wrapped in care and concern. Gentle pressure applied at multiple points, building a structure that separated me from my daughter while making it look like I was separating myself. I opened my laptop and created a new document. Titled it Timeline Emma. Started typing everything I remembered, going back 6 months. August, Emma cancels Labor Day visit. Says Tyler's mother is sick. Verify. September, Emma's birthday. Tyler organizes dinner. I'm seated at opposite end of table from Emma. Coincidence? October, Thanksgiving planning. Emma suggests small holiday this year. Translation, just her and Tyler. November, Emma misses my birthday dinner. Tyler says she has flu. She apologizes by text, says Tyler told her. Why didn't she tell me herself? December, Christmas canceled. Tyler's family emergency. Details vague. January, Emma admitted for appendectomy. I'm told she needs rest. Visitor log doesn't show my attempts to visit. I stared at the screen. 6 months of gentle separation. None of it dramatic enough to question in the moment. All of it adding up to a pattern that only became visible when you looked at the full timeline. My phone buzzed. Text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Kelly Morrison, from the hospital. Please don't reply to this message. I'll call you tomorrow during my break. 2 p.m. Keep your phone on. I read it 3 times. The nurse. Taking a risk. Why? I didn't reply. Just saved her number and set a reminder for 1:55 p.m. tomorrow. Then I went back to the timeline document and kept typing. Not just the obvious events, the small things. The tone shifts in Emma's voice when Tyler was around versus when she called me alone. The way conversations got shorter after she got married. The gradual replacement of I with we in all her communications. By midnight, I had 3 pages. By 2 a.m., I had 5. Patterns within patterns. A slow, methodical process of replacement, not removing me from Emma's life, replacing me with Tyler's version of reality. At some point, I fell asleep at the laptop. When I woke up, sun was streaming through the living room window and my phone was buzzing. Text from Tyler. Good morning, Frank. Emma's being discharged this afternoon. She's going to stay with us for a few days while she recovers. I'll have her call you when she's feeling up to it. I stared at the message. She's going to stay with us. Not Emma decided to stay or Emma asked to stay. She's going to stay, passive voice, no agency. I replied, sounds good. Let me know if you need anything. Professional, friendly, cooperative. Exactly what they expected. Then I opened my phone's browser and searched. Medical power of attorney requirements. The results were clear. Medical power of attorney required written documentation, signed by the patient, notarized, filed with the hospital. Without it, decisions defaulted to the patient if they were conscious and competent, or to the next of kin in order of precedence. Spouse first, then adult children, then parents. Tyler was Emma's spouse. That gave him legal authority to make medical decisions if she couldn't, but Emma had been conscious since the surgery. Groggy, maybe. Medicated. But conscious. Which meant either Emma had specifically requested no visitors, or Tyler had made that decision on her behalf, claiming medical necessity. I needed to know which, and there was only one person who could tell me. At 1:55 p.m., I was sitting in my truck in the parking lot of a grocery store 3 miles from the hospital. My phone was on. Volume up, waiting. At exactly 2 p.m., it rang. Unknown number. This is Frank. Mr. Brennan, this is Kelly Morrison, from the hospital. Her voice was quiet, like she was somewhere she shouldn't be making calls. I don't have much time. I'm listening. I could lose my job for this, but what they're doing isn't right. She took a breath. Your daughter didn't ask to restrict visitors. Her husband did. He has medical power of attorney. He filed it the day she was admitted. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. The day she was admitted, not before. Right. Emergency POA. He said she was too stressed to make decisions, that the surgery had her disoriented. Dr. Patel signed off on it. Can he do that? She's conscious. She's recovering from appendectomy, not brain surgery. He can if a doctor agrees she's temporarily incapacitated due to medical stress or medication. It's supposed to be for extreme circumstances, but technically legal. How long does it last? Until the doctor reverses it or the patient contests it. But if she's medicated and groggy, she might not even know it's in place. I closed my eyes. Perfect. Legal. Untraceable. Emma was trapped in a bureaucratic loop she didn't know existed, while Tyler controlled access to information and visitors. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Kelly's voice dropped even lower. Because I saw her face when we told her you'd left without seeing her. She looked confused, like she didn't know you weren't allowed to visit. She asked why you hadn't come back. Her husband told her you were dealing with stress, that you'd asked for space. My jaw clenched. I never said that. I know. That's why I'm calling. A pause. Mr. Brennan, I've been a nurse for 7 years. I've seen controlling families before. This has that pattern. I could be wrong, but if I'm right, she needs to know what's happening. She's being discharged this afternoon. I know. That's why I'm calling now. Once she's out of the hospital, she's completely under his management. No documentation, no witnesses, just whatever story he wants to tell. Can I talk to her? Before she's discharged? He's already here. He hasn't left her room since 9 this morning. Security's been told you're not allowed on the floor. Security. I absorbed that. Based on whose order? Dr. Patel's recommendation, Tyler's request. He said you'd been erratic, that your family was concerned. There it was, the full picture. Tyler had systematically isolated Emma, filed emergency POA, restricted my access, and preemptively framed me as unstable to security, all while maintaining the facade of the concerned husband managing a family crisis. And it was completely legal. Thank you for telling me, I said. What are you going to do? I don't know yet, but I won't put you at risk. I'll figure something out. Good luck, Mr. Brennan. She hung up. I sat in the truck, staring at nothing, processing the full scope of what I was dealing with. Tyler hadn't just kept me away from Emma. He'd built a legal framework that made me the problem while making himself the solution. The question was, why? What did Tyler gain by isolating Emma from her family? What was he protecting, or hiding, that required this level of control? I pulled up the timeline document on my phone and scrolled back through 6 months of entries, looking for the inflection point, the moment when concern became control. Found it. November, right after Thanksgiving. Emma had called me late at night. Unusual for her. She'd been crying, said she and Tyler had a fight. She wouldn't tell me what about, just said it was about money. She'd apologized for bothering me and hung up quickly. I'd called back the next day. Tyler answered. Said Emma was fine, just stressed about work. Everything was good. They'd worked it out. I'd believed him. Why wouldn't I? Young couples fight. They work it out. That's marriage. But what if they hadn't worked it out? What if that fight revealed something Emma wasn't supposed to know? I opened my laptop and searched. Tyler Brennan Venture Capital. Found his LinkedIn profile. Impressive resume. Stanford MBA. 2 years at Goldman Sachs. Currently at Meridian Capital Partners, focusing on early-stage tech investments. I clicked through to Meridian Capital's website. clean design, professional photos, brief bios of the partners. Tyler was listed as an associate, not a partner. That was normal for someone 5 years into the industry, but the bio was generic. Focuses on identifying high-growth opportunities in the technology sector. I searched Meridian Capital Partners news, found a few press releases about successful exits, a tech blog article about their investment strategy, nothing unusual. Then I searched Tyler Brennan LinkedIn, clicked through to his profile, scrolled down past the professional summary to his activity feed, mostly empty. A few congratulations to colleagues on promotions, one shared article about venture capital trends, standard corporate social media presence, but 3 months ago, in November, he'd posted something different. A personal note. Grateful for family support during challenging times. Sometimes the path forward requires difficult decisions. I stared at the post. 42 likes, dozen comments, all supportive. Hang in there. You've got this. Stay strong. What difficult decisions? What challenging times? I searched for more context but found nothing. Tyler's social media presence was minimal. His Facebook was private, his Twitter was professional only, but Emma's Facebook was public. I opened it, scrolled back to November. Her last public post was November 18th, a photo of her and Tyler at a restaurant smiling. Caption, date night with my favorite person. Before that, she posted regularly. Photos of their apartment, food she'd cooked, weekend trips. After November 18th, nothing. She'd gone silent the same week Tyler posted about difficult decisions. I searched Meridian Capital Partners, November 2024 news. Found an article from a financial news site. Meridian Capital faces scrutiny over failed investment. Partners distance themselves from associates' unauthorized trades. I clicked the article, read it twice. The summary. A Meridian Capital associate had made unauthorized trades using client funds. Not illegal, but against firm policy. The trades had lost money. Significant money. The associate's name wasn't mentioned, but the article noted that the firm was conducting an internal investigation and had placed the associate on administrative leave pending review. I sat back. If that was Tyler, it would explain everything. The stress, the fight with Emma, the need for control, the isolation of anyone who might ask questions. It would also explain why he needed Emma compliant and manageable, why he couldn't risk her talking to family, especially a father who might recognize the patterns of someone trying to hide a professional catastrophe, but I needed proof. And proof required access to information I didn't have. Or did I? I opened my contacts and scrolled to David Chen, my former coworker from Meridian Automotive. He'd left the company 5 years ago to work in corporate security. We'd stayed in touch, occasional lunch meetings and emails. I called him. Frank Brennan, David answered, his voice warm. Long time. How are you? Good, David. Listen, I need a favor. Nothing illegal, just information. I'm listening. You still do background checks for companies, due diligence, employment verification, that kind of thing? That's most of my business. Why? I need information about someone's employment status, specifically whether they've been placed on leave or terminated. Can you do that? Depends on the company. If they're willing to confirm employment dates and status, yes. If they're private or refuse to verify, it's harder. The company is Meridian Capital Partners. The person is Tyler Brennan. David was silent for a moment. Your son-in-law, Tyler? Yeah. Frank, what's going on? I gave him the abbreviated version. Emma in the hospital, restricted access, suspicious timing. The article about unauthorized trades. When I finished, David said, You think Tyler's hiding a professional problem by controlling access to Emma? I think it's possible. And you want me to verify his employment status? If you can. David exhaled slowly. I can make some calls. Meridian's mid-size, they usually verify employment for background checks. But if there's an ongoing internal investigation, they might refuse to comment. Anything you can find would help. Give me until tomorrow morning. I'll call you. Thanks, David. Oh, Frank, be careful. If Tyler's dealing with professional consequences, he might make decisions you wouldn't expect. People get desperate. I know. We hung up. I sat in the truck, engine off, working through scenarios. If Tyler had lost his job or was facing serious professional consequences, he'd need to control the narrative, keep Emma from talking to anyone who might question his story, maintain the appearance of stability while everything collapsed behind the scenes. The hospital restriction made sense now, not just keeping me away from Emma, keeping Emma sedated and compliant while Tyler managed the crisis, but she was being discharged today. Once she was home, under Tyler's direct supervision, I'd have no access at all, unless I created an access point they couldn't control. I pulled up Nathan's contact, started typing a message, stopped, deleted it, tried again. Nathan, I need to ask you something. Has Tyler mentioned any problems at work lately? I stared at the message. Too direct. Nathan would tell Tyler I was asking questions. Deleted it. Tried again. Nathan, when you visited Emma yesterday, did she seem like herself? Or more stressed than usual? Still too obvious. Nathan would recognize I was probing. I needed a different approach. Not through Nathan, not through Tyler, through someone who had legitimate reason to check on Emma and wouldn't report back to Tyler. I called Emma's best friend, Jenna. She answered on the third ring. Frank, how is Emma? I heard about the surgery. She's doing well. Being discharged today, actually. Oh, good. I was going to visit, but Tyler said she wasn't up for it yet. Of course he did. When did you talk to Tyler? Yesterday. I called Emma's phone and he answered, said she was sleeping. Did you try calling back later? I texted but didn't hear back. Figured she was still recovering. I paused, choosing my words. Jenna, this might sound strange, but has Emma mentioned anything to you recently? Problems, stress, anything unusual? Jenna was quiet for a moment. Why? Is something wrong? I'm not sure. Just father instinct. Something feels off. Actually, she hesitated. She called me about 3 weeks ago, late at night. She sounded upset. She asked if she could stay with me for a few days. My chest tightened. What did you say? I said of course. But then she called back the next morning and said never mind, everything was fine, she'd overreacted. Did she say what it was about? No. And honestly, Frank, I didn't push. I figured she and Tyler had a fight and worked it out. But looking back, she sounded scared. Not angry. Scared. Have you talked to her since? A few times. But the conversations felt different. Shorter. Like she was distracted or couldn't really talk. Was Tyler around during those calls? I don't know for sure, but probably. Emma used to call me from work, or when she was out. The last few weeks she's only called from home, and the conversations are always brief. I closed my eyes. Another pattern. Another data point confirming systematic isolation. Jenna, can you do me a favor? Try calling Emma again, today. Tell her you want to visit her at home tomorrow. See what she says. Okay. But Frank, what's going on? I'm not sure yet, but if you get through to Emma, really talk to her. Tell her I've been trying to see her. Tell her I called you because I was worried. You think Tyler's keeping you away from her? I think something's wrong, and I'm trying to figure out what. Okay, I'll call her. I'll let you know what happens. Thank you, Jenna. I hung up and sat in the truck, adding new entries to my timeline. Emma had tried to leave Tyler 3 weeks ago. Whatever was wrong had been building for at least that long. Maybe longer. My phone buzzed. Text from Tyler. Emma's discharged. We're heading home. She said to tell you thanks for understanding. She'll call you in a couple days when she's feeling better, she said. Emma said. But Emma had never said anything to me directly since the surgery. I replied, Great. Let me know if you need anything. Then I opened my email and wrote a message to myself. Detailed timeline. Everything I knew. Everything I suspected. If something happened to me, if they tried to paint me as unstable or dangerous, there would be a record. I attached the timeline document and hit send. My phone rang. Jenna. That was fast, I said. Frank, I called Emma's phone. Tyler answered again. He said Emma's sleeping, that the discharge was exhausting. He said she'd call me when she woke up. Did you ask to visit? I did. He said to give it a few days. He was very polite, very reasonable, but firm. What did your gut tell you? That he's not going to let me see her. Yeah, that's what I thought too. What are we going to do? I'm working on it. Thanks for trying, Jenna. We hung up. I started the truck and drove home, processing everything I'd learned. Tyler had emergency medical power of attorney. Emma had been kept sedated and isolated. Her best friend couldn't reach her. Her father was barred from visiting and labeled as unstable. And tomorrow, David would hopefully tell me whether Tyler still had a job. But even if I proved Tyler was lying about his employment, so what? That didn't prove Emma was in danger. It didn't prove coercion. It just proved Tyler was protecting his ego during a professional crisis. Unless the professional crisis was bigger than I thought. Unless Tyler had done something that required more than just managing his image. Unless Emma knew something that made her a liability. I pulled into my driveway and sat in the truck, staring at my house. The same house where Emma had grown up. The The same house where she'd learned to ride a bike, had birthday parties, left for college. The same house she rarely visited anymore because Tyler always had a reason why they were too busy. My phone buzzed. Text from Nathan. Dad, Tyler mentioned you called Jenna asking questions about Emma. He's worried you're obsessing. Maybe take a step back. Let Emma recover. There it was. Tyler monitoring communications. Nathan delivering the message. The walls closing in. I didn't reply. Instead, I got out of the truck, went inside, and opened my laptop. Started a new document. Titled it, What They Don't Know I Know, and began writing down every scrap of information Tyler thought was hidden. The storage unit was exactly as I'd left it. Fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, concrete floor cold through my shoes, metal shelves lined with boxes I hadn't opened in years. I'd rented the space when Karen left, unable to throw away the pieces of our family life, but unwilling to keep them in the house where Emma and Nathan would see them and remember what we'd lost. Now I was here looking for something specific. I found it in the third box from the left on the second shelf. My old work files from Meridian Automotive. 3 decades of documentation. Quality control reports, process audits, system failure analyses. I'd kept them because they represented the best work of my career. The times I'd caught problems everyone else missed. The patterns hidden in data. I pulled out a specific folder. Labeled it Chain of Custody Documentation, 2018. The year we'd discovered a systematic defect in transmission assemblies. The problem wasn't in manufacturing. It was in record keeping. Someone had been falsifying inspection reports to cover efficiency gaps. It took me 6 months to prove it because the falsification was sophisticated. Small changes, plausible variations. Nothing obvious. But I'd found it by tracking a different pattern. Timestamps. The falsified reports were always entered during shift changes. The person responsible was betting that overlap confusion would mask the timing inconsistencies. They were wrong. I'd built a timeline, cross-referenced entry logs with personnel schedules, identified the exact windows when falsification occurred, presented the evidence to management. The employee was terminated. The process was fixed. I'd done it by treating the problem like a defect analysis. Document everything. Find the pattern. Prove the deviation. Tyler was a deviation. I just needed to document it properly. I pulled out another box. This one contained personal files, tax returns, investment statements, property records. The paper trail of my own life, organized and archived because that's what quality control teaches you. Documentation is truth. I spread the files across the storage unit floor and started building a new timeline. Not just Emma's isolation, not just Tyler's professional collapse. Everything, the full picture, started with the house purchase. April 2023, $240,000 down payment. Where did the money come from? I pulled out Tyler and Emma's wedding invitation. Checked the date, September 2021, 2 years before the house purchase. I remembered the wedding, small ceremony, elegant. Tyler's parents paid for most of it, which had relieved me since I couldn't afford much. They were wealthy. Old money from Boston, real estate investments. Tyler's father was a retired executive. His mother did charity work. Had they given Tyler and Emma money for the house? I made a note. Verify Tyler's family financial support. Next, Tyler's employment timeline. According to LinkedIn, he'd been at Meridian Capital Partners since 2020. 4 years. Long enough to accumulate savings, but the salary for an associate wouldn't support that big of a down payment unless he was living like a monk. Emma's salary. She worked at Hartwell Marketing, mid-level manager. Good job, but not wealth-building income. Maybe $75,000 a year. Tyler probably made $150,000 base, maybe more with bonuses. Combined, that was $225,000 annual income. After taxes, maybe $160,000 take-home. Rent before they bought the house. Car payments, student loans, standard expenses. Even with aggressive saving, they shouldn't have had $240,000 in cash. The unauthorized trades. That was the missing piece. If Tyler had made successful unauthorized trades before the ones that triggered the investigation, he could have pulled money out, used it for the house, then tried to repeat the success to cover his tracks. Classic overconfidence. The first win makes you believe you can control the risk. The second attempt proves you can't. I made more notes, cross-referenced dates, built a financial model based on public information and reasonable assumptions. The pattern was clear. Tyler had access to money that shouldn't exist through legitimate means. The house was purchased with suspicious capital. The subsequent investigation suggested he'd tried to do it again and failed. I arrived at Tyler and Emma's house at 6:30 in the morning, early enough that neighbors weren't out yet, late enough that Tyler couldn't complain I was trespassing at dawn. The house was impressive, modern architecture, clean lines, landscaped yard, the kind of place that screamed success and stability, the kind of place a venture capital associate shouldn't be able to afford without suspicious capital. 2 cars in the driveway, Tyler's BMW, Emma's Honda, both here, which meant they were both home. I parked across the street and watched the house for 10 minutes. Lights on in the kitchen, movement behind the curtains. Someone was awake. My camping gear was supposed to be by the front door, but I didn't see any bags or boxes. I crossed the street and walked up the driveway, moving with purpose but not aggression. Just a father picking up borrowed items. The front door opened before I reached it. Tyler stood there, backlit by interior lights, wearing expensive casual clothes and a practiced smile. "Frank, morning." "Morning, Tyler. Nathan said you'd leave the gear by the door." "I was going to, but I figured I should hand it to you directly. Make sure you got everything." He stepped out onto the porch, pulling the door mostly closed behind him. "It's in the garage. I'll grab it." "I can help carry it." "That's okay. Give me just a minute." He disappeared around the side of the house toward the garage. The front door was still partially open. I could see into the entryway. Clean, organized, expensive furniture, photos on the wall. One photo caught my eye. Emma and Tyler at their wedding. Emma's smile looked genuine, happy, young. Another photo, more recent. Emma looked thinner, tired. The smile was smaller. I looked closer. The photo was dated. Small print in the corner. Napa Valley, October 2024. 3 months ago. Emma looked exhausted even then. Tyler appeared around the corner carrying 2 bags, my camping gear. He handed them to me efficiently, like a transaction he wanted completed. "Thanks for lending these to Emma. We never did make it to Yosemite. Work got busy." "No problem. Tell Emma I hope she's feeling better." "I will. She's still sleeping. The medications knock her out pretty good." "What medications exactly?" Tyler's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "Calculation. Pain management. Anti-anxiety. Standard post-surgical protocol." Anti-anxiety seems unusual for appendix surgery. Dr. Patel thought it was necessary. Emma's been under a lot of stress lately. He adjusted his stance, subtly blocking my view of the door. "Anyway, I should get back inside. Emma might wake up soon." "Right, thanks for the gear." I turned and walked back to my truck, feeling Tyler's eyes on me the entire time. I put the bags in the back, got in the driver's seat, and pulled away like a man with no other agenda. But I'd seen enough. The house was expensive, but showed signs of financial stress. The landscaping was professional, but hadn't been maintained recently. The cars were clean, but both had small damage. A scraped bumper on the BMW, a dented door on the Honda. Small things that people with money fix immediately, unless they didn't have money anymore. And Emma's photo. The exhaustion visible 3 months ago, before the surgery, before the hospitalization. The pattern of control had started long before the acute crisis. I drove 3 blocks, turned into a grocery store parking lot, and opened one of the camping bags. Inside was my tent, sleeping bags, backpacks, everything I'd lent Emma. But there was something extra. A small notebook, spiral-bound, blue cover. I opened it. Emma's handwriting. Dates starting in September 2024. 4 months ago. The first entry. "Tyler says I need to keep better track of our finances. He set up this notebook so I can log expenses and make sure we're staying on budget." I flipped through the pages. Detailed expense logs, groceries, gas, utilities, small purchases. Emma's handwriting throughout, careful and precise. But some entries had notes in the margin. Emma's handwriting, but different. Rushed, stressed, next to a $500 grocery bill. "This seems high. Tyler says I'm overspending." Next to a $200 car repair. Tyler got angry about this, said I should have asked first. Next to a $50 dinner. I didn't tell Tyler about this, used cash. The entries continued through October, November, December. The margin notes got more frequent, more anxious. Tyler's been working from home more, says his office is being renovated, but he won't let me see his laptop anymore. I tried to check our bank account online. Password's been changed. Tyler says he'll handle it. Tyler got angry when I mentioned visiting Dad for Christmas. Said Dad makes me stressed. I'm scared. That was the last entry. January 2nd, 2 weeks before Emma's appendectomy. I'm scared. 3 words that confirmed everything. I took photos of every page with my phone. Then I put the notebook back in the bag exactly where I'd found it. Tyler had left evidence in my camping gear. Accidentally? Or had Emma hidden it there, hoping I'd find it? Either way, I had proof now, not proof of murder conspiracy, but proof that Emma was afraid, proof that Tyler was controlling finances, proof that isolation had started months ago. It wasn't enough for police. But it was enough to show Nathan, enough to show Jenna, enough to start breaking down Tyler's narrative. I pulled out my phone and called Nathan. "Dad, it's 6:30 in the morning. I need to show you something. Can you meet me at my house? Now? Yes, this is important. What's going on?" I found Emma's notebook. She left it in the camping gear. Nathan, she wrote that she's scared of Tyler. Silence. Then, "You're making this up. I have photos. Come to my house and see for yourself." "Dad, if you doctored some notebook to prove your conspiracy theories..." "I'm not doctoring anything. This is Emma's handwriting, her notes, her fear. Come see it." More silence. "Fine. I'll be there in an hour." He hung up. I drove home, uploaded the photos to my laptop, printed the most relevant pages. By the time Nathan arrived, I had everything organized. He walked in without knocking. His face was set, defensive. "Show me." I handed him the printed pages. He read them silently, his expression shifting from skepticism to confusion to concern. "This is Emma's handwriting," he said finally. "Yes." "She says she's scared." "Yes." "When did you find this?" "This morning. Tyler put it in my camping gear. Either he didn't check the bags or Emma hid it there intentionally." Nathan read the pages again. These margin notes. She sounds like Tyler's abusing her. Not physically, but financially, emotionally. She was documenting his control. Why didn't she tell someone? Why didn't she call me? Because Tyler isolated her gradually. Look at the dates. September through January. 5 months of slow control. By the time she realized how bad it was, she probably didn't know who to trust. Nathan sat down, still holding the pages. "The surgery. You think Tyler used that to make it worse?" "I think the surgery gave him an opportunity to formalize control. Medical power of attorney, restricted access, the legal sedation. He built a cage around her and made it look like medical care. We need to show this to someone, police, lawyer. And tell them what? That Emma wrote notes about financial stress? That's not illegal. Tyler hasn't broken any laws that we can prove. He's keeping her sedated against her will. He has medical power of attorney signed by a doctor. As far as the legal system is concerned, he's protecting his wife." Nathan looked at me. "Then what do? We get Emma out, physically. We go to the house, we talk to her directly, we remove her from Tyler's control. That's kidnapping. It's not kidnapping if she wants to leave. We're not taking her against her will. We're giving her the option. Tyler won't let us in. Then we make him. We show up with enough people that he can't refuse. You, me, Jenna. We tell Tyler we need to see Emma. If he refuses, we call the police for a welfare check. Make him explain to officers why he won't let Emma's family see her." Nathan stood up, pacing. "This is insane. What's insane is letting Tyler keep Emma drugged while he figures out how to profit from her incapacity. I think he's desperate. I think he's in financial collapse. I think Emma is his only liquid asset. Jesus." Nathan ran his hands through his hair. Okay, let's do it. When? Today? Now. Before Tyler has time to adjust his strategy. I'll call Melissa. Ask her to come. Good. The more people, the better. Call Jenna, too. Tell her to come to the house. Tell her it's urgent." Nathan pulled out his phone and started making calls. I went to my bedroom and changed clothes. Put on jeans and a work shirt. Solid boots. I wasn't expecting violence, but I was preparing for confrontation. By 8 a.m., we were ready. Nathan, Melissa, Jenna, and me. 4 people with legitimate concern for Emma's welfare, arriving at her house to check on her. Tyler couldn't refuse without looking guilty. And if he did refuse, we'd escalate until someone with legal authority forced access. We drove separately. Met at the grocery store 3 blocks from Emma's house. Confirmed the plan. Knock on the door, ask to see Emma, don't leave until we do. What if she really is just tired? Melissa asked. What if Tyler's telling the truth? Then we apologize and leave, I said. But if Emma's alert and aware, we ask her directly what she wants. Not Tyler, Emma. Everyone nodded. We got in our vehicles and drove to the house. Tyler's BMW was still in the driveway. Emma's Honda, too. We parked on the street and walked up together. 4 people on a mission. I knocked on the door. Firm but not aggressive. Tyler answered within seconds, like he'd been expecting us. His expression was calm. Too calm. Frank, Nathan, ladies. He looked at each of us. This is quite a delegation. We're here to see Emma, I said. She's sleeping. We'll wait. I don't think that's a good idea. Tyler, we're not leaving until we see her. Nathan's voice was firm. This is non-negotiable. Tyler studied us, calculation visible in his eyes. He was weighing options, running scenarios. Emma's not well, he said finally. The surgery hit her harder than expected. She's been having complications, mental health complications. Dr. Patel prescribed strong medication. She's not herself right now. Then we need to see her even more, Jenna said. She needs her family. Her family is stressing her out. Frank's been harassing hospital staff. Nathan called me paranoid. You, he pointed at Jenna, tried to force your way into seeing her against medical advice. Emma doesn't need this pressure. Let us see her, I said. Let Emma tell us herself what she needs. She can't. She's sedated. Then show us. Let us see that she's safe. Tyler shook his head. I'm protecting my wife's privacy and medical recovery. You need to leave. We're not leaving, Nathan said. Either let us in, or we're calling the police for a welfare check. Tyler's calm cracked slightly. You're threatening me? We're exercising our right to ensure a family member's safety, I said. Police welfare checks are standard procedure. If you have nothing to hide, there's no problem. Tyler stared at me. In that moment, I saw past the smooth facade to the man underneath. Desperate, cornered, calculating whether to fight or fold. He folded. Fine. 5 minutes. You see Emma, you confirm she's fine, you leave. He stepped aside. We walked in. The house interior was as impressive as the exterior. High ceilings, modern furniture, but there were small signs of neglect. Mail piled on a side table, dishes in the sink visible through the kitchen doorway. The careful maintenance of image was slipping. Tyler led us upstairs, down a hallway, to a bedroom at the end. He opened the door. Emma was in bed. The room was dark, curtains drawn. She was lying on her side, facing away from us. Still, too still. Emma? Jenna's voice was soft. No response. She's heavily medicated, Tyler said. I told you. I walked to the bed, looked at Emma's face. Her eyes were closed. Her breathing was shallow but steady. Her skin was pale. On the nightstand were 3 prescription bottles. I picked one up, read the label. Lorazepam, 2 milligrams. Take 1 tablet every 6 hours as needed for anxiety. The prescription date was 3 days ago. The bottle was nearly empty. That meant Emma had been taking 4 tablets per day, 8 milligrams of lorazepam daily. That was a heavy dose, enough to keep someone in a constant state of sedation. I picked up the second bottle, oxycodone, 5 milligrams. Take 1 tablet every 4 to 6 hours for pain. Third bottle, zolpidem, 10 milligrams. Take 1 tablet at bedtime for sleep. Emma was on 3 sedating medications simultaneously: anxiety medication, pain medication, sleep medication. The combination would keep her unconscious or semi-conscious most of the day. These dosages are excessive, I said. They're prescribed by her doctor, Tyler replied. For what medical reason? Appendix surgery doesn't require this level of sedation. Dr. Patel determined Emma needed psychiatric support. She was having panic attacks. The medications are temporary until she stabilizes. Let me talk to Dr. Patel. He's not going to discuss Emma's care with you. You're not her medical proxy. I turned to Nathan. Call Dr. Patel, right now. Ask him if these medications are appropriate for appendix recovery. Nathan pulled out his phone. Tyler moved to stop him. You can't harass Emma's doctor. We're not harassing, we're verifying. Nathan dialed. Put the phone on speaker. It rang 3 times, voicemail. Nathan left a message. Dr. Patel, this is Nathan Brennan, Emma Brennan's brother. I'm at Emma's home and have concerns about her medication regimen. Please call me back immediately. He hung up. We all stood there, in Emma's bedroom, listening to her shallow breathing, understanding that we'd found her but hadn't rescued her. Because Emma couldn't tell us what she wanted. Emma couldn't consent or refuse. Emma was chemically incapacitated. I think we should take Emma to the hospital, Melissa said. Get a second opinion on these medications. She's not going anywhere, Tyler said. His voice had an edge now. The calm was breaking. She's under medical care. You're interfering with doctor's orders. We're concerned family members, I said. We have the right to verify her care is appropriate. You have no rights here. I'm her husband. I have medical power of attorney. What I say is final. Not if Emma can contest it, Jenna said. Emma, can you hear me? No response. Jenna moved to the bed, gently shook Emma's shoulder. Emma, wake up. It's Jenna. Emma stirred slightly. Her eyes opened briefly, unfocused. She mumbled something incoherent. Then her eyes closed again. She's too sedated to communicate, I said. This isn't appropriate medical care. This is incapacitation. Get out of my house. Tyler's voice was hard now. All of you. Get out or I'm calling the police. Call them, Nathan said. We'll explain the situation. Let them decide if Emma's care is appropriate. Tyler pulled out his phone. Dialed. Police? I have 4 people in my home refusing to leave. They're harassing my wife, who's recovering from surgery. He gave the address. Hung up. They're on their way. I suggest you leave before you're arrested for trespassing. We were invited in, I said. I'm now asking you to leave. If you refuse, it's trespassing. We had maybe 5 minutes before police arrived. Not enough time to wake Emma, not enough time to document everything, just enough time to make a choice. Leave voluntarily or force a confrontation with police. I looked at Nathan. He looked at Melissa. Melissa looked at Jenna. We're not leaving, I said. Tyler's expression hardened. Then you'll be arrested. Maybe. But the police will see Emma's condition. They'll see the medications. They'll ask questions. Questions I'll answer. Emma's under doctor's care. Your obsessive family members interfering. We're concerned family members trying to protect her. That's not how it'll look when I show them your harassment pattern. The hospital complaints, the unauthorized contact with nurses, the welfare check requests, the paranoid accusations about my employment and finances. He'd been documenting everything, building his own case, anticipating this exact confrontation. We have evidence too, Nathan said. Emma's notebook, her notes about being scared, her documentation of financial control. Tyler's face went blank. What notebook? Nathan pulled out his phone, showed Tyler the photos of Emma's notebook pages. Tyler's calculated calm shattered. You went through our personal belongings? Emma put it in Frank's camping gear. She wanted someone to find it. That's theft. You stole private documents. We photographed them. The originals are still in the camping bag you gave me, I said. We can show police. Tyler's hands were shaking now. Rage or fear or both. Those notes are out of context. Emma was stressed about budgeting, that's all. She wrote, I'm scared. That's pretty clear context. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. Tyler looked at each of us, his empire collapsing, his control slipping. Everything he'd built to isolate Emma was being dismantled by the people he'd tried to exclude. You don't understand what you're doing, he said. Emma needs protection. She needs stability. She needs to be awake and able to make her own decisions, I finished, which these medications prevent. The sirens were close now, seconds away. Tyler looked at Emma, then at us, making some final calculation. The doorbell rang.